David Bolton is Technical Director at SOFTtribe. He joins us on the line. Good morning, Mr. Bolton. Thanks for your time.
Good morning. Good morning.
Describe what happened this morning.
Well, yesterday at around 4 o'clock, we had word that about 15 armed police and suits raided our offices. And they presented what they said was a court order, which we noted was unsigned and unsealed, to confiscate all of our mobile phones and electronic equipment. So at that point, because of the, and they were actually quite heavy-handed in their attitude. So essentially, they confiscated all our phones. Then they initially wanted to confiscate our laptops, but then they decided not to take the laptops. So currently, none of our technical staff or directors are with phones, so we cannot operate as a company. From there, they detained one of our technical staff and carried him to the Ghana Water head office, claiming that they could not access the backup. But then they let us know that they had accessed the backup as of Friday, and they were looking for the backup as of yesterday. Now, backups are carried out at midnight. It meant that the backup hadn't even been made at that point. So I followed up with my CEO to Ghana Water, at which point they decided to invite us for questioning at the Bureau of National Communication. Again, I asked to see the court order, and I realized that there was no signature at all. There was no court seal. So we began to question the authenticity of this. We then made some contacts through the Minister of National Security, and we found out that there had been no authorization for such an operation. So what we told them, that we wanted to see our lawyers, which they refused. So subsequently, we decided to divert, and a car chase ensued at that point. And then when we realized that we were seeking refuge at the office of the former President Rawlings, they decided to turn off and disappeared. So we really don't know what is going on. But what we suspect is that we have raised certain issues, very, very big issues with Ghana Water, legal issues, and essentially a lot of the evidence to prove these issues is on our phones. So we suspect that this has been a move to basically confiscate our phones and destroy the evidence or tamper with the evidence.
Mr. Bolton, have your phones been returned to you?
Sorry?
Have your phones been returned to you?
No, they haven't. They haven't. I'm actually borrowing somebody's phone at the moment to speak to you. So currently we cannot operate as a company. We cannot service our clients because we don't have access to contact them.
I want to go through a few of the key facts you mentioned. You said that yesterday you were at work and some men, some of whom were uniformed men, came to the office and some were heavily armed.
They were all armed, yes.
They were all armed. About how many were
all
they?
All armed, yes. Yes.
About how many were they?
They were 12 to 15.
They were between 12 and 15?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what did they say? Did they identify themselves?
They identified themselves as national security operatives from the Bureau of National Communications.
From the Bureau of National Communications?
Yes.
And they were national security operatives?
Yes, yes.
Okay. At which point did they make reference to Ghana Water?
When they came in, they made reference to Ghana Water, saying that they wanted access to the passwords to the Ghana Water servers. And they wanted basically for us to be able to give them the backups to the servers.
Okay, so what Ghana Water servers are they? Help us understand. Are you doing any work with Ghana Water?
Yes, we actually run the e-billing systems for Ghana Water. So the billing systems that you receive your your water bill by text and the payments that you can make online and so on, and the customer apps and all of these innovations. We actually designed them and then implemented them.
Okay. So when I receive a text message that I have my bill is so and so, this is your work.
Exactly. Yes.
For how long have you been doing this?
We started the project back in 2016.
2016.
Yes.
Okay, and you've been running it. Is this the same project that you have legal issues with?
It's the same project. Yes.
Okay. So at that point, they come to the office. They ask for the passwords. Do you give them the passwords? Do they enter the service?
Well, at that point, our staff obviously they complied.
Okay.
So they gave them the details.
And then they seized all their phones.
They seized all the phones. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So when they gave them the details, what did they do?
That was when they tried taking the backup from the office, and they realized that there was bad connectivity. So that's when they detained one of the technical staff and carried him to the Ghana Water head office to try and make the backup from there.
Where is this man now?
We currently don't know, because we don't have access to phones. We don't know what's happening. So we don't know whether he was detained or released. At the moment, we have no idea.
Who is he?
Sorry?
Who is this man, this staff of yours?
Caleb Mensa he's our technical, he's actually our systems person.
Have you heard from his family? Have you spoken to anyone connected to him?
Not at the moment, because honestly, none of us have our phones. We don't have contacts. At this point, we are even afraid to step in the office, because we don't. It appears that this was an unsanctioned operation, so we fear for our personal safety at this moment.
Do you know if he was successful at Ghana Water when he went to give them the access to the backups and what have you?
We don't know, because it was at that point that they tried to take us in to the Bureau of National Communications offices. This was around 9:30 p.m. last night.
How many of you did they take?
They took Teta Antonio, who is our CEO, and myself.
Okay. So you went to the Bureau of National Investigations yourself?
We didn't go there, because at the point when we realized that they were not giving us access to our lawyers, and there was no way for our lawyers to contact us because they had taken our phones, we realized that there was something very wrong going on. So we realized that what they were trying to do possibly was force us to give them access to our phones so that they could tamper with the evidence on those phones.
So what did you do then? What happened at that point when they asked you to go to BNI and you said you wouldn't go?
Basically, we diverted, and then they chased us. There was a car chase, as I say, a very high-speed car chase around the Parliament area. And then when they realized we were diverting to seek refuge in the former President Rawlings' office, that's when they turned off.
And this was after 9:30 p.m. last night?
Yes. In fact, it was at that point, it was around 10 o'clock.
It was around 10 o'clock?
Yes.
So you sat in a car with Tete Antonio. You were driving to the BNI offices from SOFTtribe.
No, this was from Ghana Water head office.
From Ghana Water head office.
Yes. They wanted us to get into their vehicle.
Okay.
We refused.
Okay.
We refused. Said that you claim you have invited us. We are not under arrest. You've invited us to your office, so we are taking our own vehicle and we will follow you. At that point, we tried stopping them. When we realized that there was something wrong, we stopped them, we spoke to them, and then said that no, we want to rather see our lawyer first or contact our lawyer. And then they said you can do that once you get to our offices. And that's when we realized no, the whole game plan was to get our phones opened. Because once they open the phones, then they have access to the evidence.
So, Mr. Bolton, pardon me if I keep going back on some of the facts that you're giving. We want to draw the picture as clearly as possible because, as you know, none of us and none of our listeners were there last night. They came to SOFTtribe, and then you went to Ghana Water with them before you moved there to the...
They came to SOFTtribe, and they detained one of our staff. They did not ask us to follow them to Ghana Water.
Okay.
But when we realized they had taken one of our staff to Ghana Water, obviously we had to check up on his condition. So Teta and myself drove to Ghana Water, and then at that point, that's it was about an hour into that after we had arrived at Ghana Water, that one of them decided that they were going to invite us to their offices.
So the staff members that you left behind in the office, are they okay?
Honestly, we don't know at the moment. This is the frustrating part. We don't have our phones. None of us have our phones. The staff members don't have their phones. So right now we don't even know. Honestly, I couldn't even sleep at home last night because it was such a terrifying situation.
So take us back to the narration. You veered off. You took refuge around former President Rawlings's office, and then what?
Then we didn't. Obviously, at that point, we didn't hear from them again. So from there, then we sought refuge, and then basically here we are today.
Okay.
I borrowed a friend's phone, and now we're looking at the options. We're now looking at what is actually happening. The court order, as I say, was not signed. It was not sealed. So we're wondering, and it apparently it was sought in Tema, which seemed very odd. The court order would be sought in a court in Tema.
At which points did you see the court order?
I actually saw it when we got to Ghana Water, but Tete, my partner, saw it when we were in the office, and he made mention that it was unsigned. But in fact, the attitude they had was quite aggressive. So we decided to comply, until we realized that no, this is going too far. And then when we also heard word that the minister had not sanctioned this operation, then we realized there's something very wrong going on.
So how many of the officials left with the first person who was taken to...
They all left.
Okay, so all of them left, all the 15 of them left SOFTtribe?
Yes, they left with our one member of staff, yes.
Good. How many members of staff were there initially, apart from you, Mr. Tetefio, and the one who was taken earlier?
I believe it must be about 7 or 8 members of staff.
Okay, including the 3 of you?
Yes, I wasn't there at that point. I actually came a few minutes after they left.
Okay. Now, okay, Mr. Bolton, this contract, this e-billing, which has become a matter of controversy, as you tell us this morning.
Yes.
Tell us about it. What are the legal issues that you have with it? What has been your engagement with government about it?
Well, as far as we're concerned, the legal issues are that Ghana Water has, about 2 months ago, Ghana Water served notice that they were terminating the contract. Now, it's not, I don't want to go into too much of the detail because our lawyers are obviously looking into it, but we are partners with Ghana Water in this contract. And one of the very clear terms is that Ghana Water are not allowed to reverse engineer our IP because we brought the innovation to Ghana Water. And you see, we had wind that they were duplicating our system on another server after they had terminated our contract. So it was clear that they were using our intellectual property to basically try and push us out and then continue using our innovation.
So when you say they were duplicating your system and they were infringing on your intellectual property rights, what do you mean? Were they building another software?
Exactly so, yes. And it's being done in secrecy. You see, the thing is, if you are terminating a contract, which is well within anybody's rights, this is a mission-critical situation, a system, a very mission-critical system that's serving the Ghana public. So there must be some sort of migration plan. So if you're migrating from one system to another, it's a major operation. So at the very least, you would expect that they would contact us and say, okay, we're migrating from A to B. We need this information. But they kept us in complete darkness. And then we were hearing that from the grapevine. It's a small community in the IT world in Ghana. We were hearing that no, they're actually they're planning on stealing our IP and taking it over. And there are certain people within Ghana Water doing this.
Okay, so in a nutshell, at the risk of sounding simplistic, someone is trying to rebuild a software you built to do the same work that you've been paid to do since 2016.
You've hit the nail on the head. Exactly that.
Describe for me this belligerent phone call you received from the chief technical officer of Ghana Water.
It wasn't myself. It was our CEO, Tete Antonio, who received that call. So I didn't get the full details, but he was brandishing the name of Brian Achampon, that he is his friend, and we should watch out. That was the crux of it.
How long ago was this?
This was, I believe, a week last Sunday. So it'll be about 10 days now.
Mr. Bolton, what do you suspect?
Well, honestly, at the moment, we're quite confused, but it's quite obvious that essentially what's happening is, we have spent years innovating this technology. It has proven to work, and the public of Ghana can attest to how efficient now you receive your bills instantly, where previously you were receiving bills of 3 or 4 months past. These are the things. So now you're able to receive your bill instantly. You can pay instantly using mobile money and other online payments. And then essentially, some people at Ghana Water are trying to steal this technology and take over our hard work. And then we're going to be left out in the cold with no benefit for our investment.
So, Mr. Bolton, your letter states also that there were some technical challenges from inception with this software. What kind of challenge?
Yeah. Well, the normal sort of project challenges you would face. I mean, we were introducing a very disruptive technology. Obviously, there were the meter readers had a certain way of working, and so on. It was all being done manually. So our system basically used phones using GPS geofencing, which would force the meter readers to be on site to take your meter reading. They would also have to take a photo of the meter reading for audit purposes. So it was a complete change of procedure for the entire Ghana Water company. So it forced certain checks and balances, which obviously, when an organization has been used to working in a certain way for many years, we faced a huge uphill struggle in gaining acceptance. But finally, it appeared we had gained acceptance with the larger proportion of staff at Ghana Water, but there were still certain elements that were not happy with us being in the ecosystem.
Mr. Bolton, hold on just a moment for me, and we'll be joined by officials of Ghana Water Company Limited for us to get the other side of this issue. We're still live on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. On the line with us is David Bolton. He's Chief Technical Officer or Technical Director at SOFTtribe. Quite the story that Mr. Bolton is telling us this morning, including a car chase at 10 p.m. around Parliament House yesterday. But today's agenda is brought to you by Societe Generale, SG Ghana, The Future Is You, and Millennium Insurance, your trustworthy partner. Now, things are changing at Barclays Bank Ghana. As we get ready to change our name to ABSA, you start to see more of our new look whenever you visit a branch. That means a vibrant new red that is warm and powerful, passionate and proud. A red inspired by the color that is woven through our African land and skies. Try one of our new look ATMs and experience the next step in our journey to ABSA. Our color may be new, but our commitment to you, our cherished customer, remains the same. Barclays, part of the ABSA family. Barclays Bank Ghana is a registered commercial bank. The Barclays brand is used under license. We've been joined on the line by Mrs. Cynthia Aka. She's Chief Commercial Manager, Ghana Water Company. Good morning, Mrs. Aka. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Did you send national security to the offices of SOFTtribe?
I'm not in Accra, but I'm told I think something has happened. Sometime earlier this month or so, we had to back up our data, and they took us off. I mean, I'm not in Accra, so I don't know exactly what has gone on with national security, but they took us off backing our own data. So we called them to a meeting, and Mr. Bolton represented SOFTtribe, and he said they were aware. he was aware, but he didn't have any comments. And it was strange because our own data that we had to back up each month, if you are taking us up, at least you have to let us know. So we have to get national security in to secure our customers' information. That is what I know has gone on.
When you say we had to get national security in to secure your customers' information, what do you mean?
They have experts, IT experts, who could also help us secure our data, because the way Soft had taken us off, we didn't have the backup. So if they decide to do something with our data, then we will have to bear the brunt of it. So it was necessary to get support, and that is how come national security as support us.
Okay, so you relied on national security for technical support in getting this data?
Exactly.
Okay, so Mr. Bolton on the other line says that officials who identified themselves as national security officers raided his office last night. Was that part of the brief you gave national security?
I don't think so.
So, okay. So this was about accessing the data that was kept there. There's the Data Protection Commission, which exists to ensure that data that is held by any institution in Ghana is kept safely, isn't there? So why didn't we go there rather?
I'm talking about backing up our data. Every month they give us access for us to back up the data. So that's what happened. Because once they don't give you access, then you don't know exactly what is going to happen to your data. So it was about backing up our data. I've not been around, so I don't really know what has happened after that. But with the data service they were giving us, the support they were giving us, we had a few challenges. We wrote to them, giving notice of severing the relationship with them.
Yes, please speak up for me, Mrs. Aka. If you can, please speak up for me so that we can hear you clearly. And there's a hint of feedback. There may be a radio on near you.
There's no radio. I was driving, so I had to.
Okay. Yeah, but please speak up for us all the same. Okay. Yes. So you were speaking. You were making a statement alluding to termination of contracts there. But can you shed some more light on what you were saying?
Yes. We had so many technical challenges with SOFTtribe, and our customers were suffering for it. So we wrote giving notice of termination of the contract. So that is how come all these things are happening. Because you see, they came in and we supported them. They designed the software for us, the e-billing. It was wonderful. Our customers were very happy. Then all of a sudden, things started going haywire. We support and try to address the issues, and for how many years now? So we are not moving forward. So it was time to really move on. Our customers were suffering.
How were the customers suffering? How were things going haywire?
Data inconsistency. When we give you a bill and you come and ask for a statement, the balances are different, and SOFTtribe could not handle it.
Mr. Bolton, is this the case?
I think, you see, now we're getting into technical details. When you're talking of over 500,000 customers, and then you have issues with a few thousand customers, I hardly think that warrants terminating a contract. And to add to that, the issues with those customers, to which we've written to Ghana Water, were largely due to legacy data that was taken on from their old systems onto the new system. And we have written extensive documents on this to Ghana Water.
Okay. So, Mrs. Saka, on this matter, and of course, I don't want us to dwell too much on the technicalities of what was right or what was wrong. But basically, the need to rely on national security to access your data. What informed that decision? And beyond that, if national security has now raided the offices of the data of SOFTtribe, would you say this is a Ghana Water sanctioned action?
No, I'm not aware of that. As I said, I'm not in Accra, so I'm not aware of that. But what I know is that I have issues with SOFTtribe over my data. That is all. But I'm not aware of what has gone on, raiding office. No, I'm not aware of that.
Let me give a final word quickly on this to Mr. Bolton, and then we move on. Mr. Bolton, so you have your clients on the other line. After what has happened, what would you say?
I'm very disturbed that things have gotten to this point. I mean, we've from both sides we've put in a lot of hard work for almost 4 years in this project. Now, when they say that they didn't have access to the data, it's a little bit technical, but essentially, what happened is the link for them to copy the backup was temporarily taken down because we were investigating where this data leakage was coming from, and that's when we realized it was from Ghana Water itself. As soon as we realized that, the link was restored within 12 hours, and we wrote to Ghana Water to inform them. It was at that point that we decided that we had to take legal action because things were not being done according to the terms of the contract.
Okay, so Mrs. Aka, this issue quickly came up. This issue of reverse engineering, Mr. Bolton seems to believe that your company is copying his design and replicating it for another person to get paid for the work they have done.
No, I'm not aware of that.
After you intend to terminate the contracts with SOFTtribe, after you terminate the contracts, who does the work of e-billing?
We were billing before SOFTtribe came in, so we can always revert to where we were. We were billing. We used AS400 billing software. We used Utility 2000 billing software. So we were billing before.
So you are going to revert to your old system before SOFTtribe, or you are going to contract another company?
We are going to bill after SOFTtribe. We'll still continue billing because we were doing it before they came in.
Mrs. Aka, for the sake of clarity for my listeners, if you can answer specifically if Ghana Water intends to do this internally or hire another company to do same.
I'm saying we will still go ahead and bill after SOFTtribe because we're billing before SOFTtribe came in. That is what I have to say.
Again, with the greatest of respects, ma'am, I would love to get that clarity. When you say we are billing, do you mean Ghana Water Company itself, or they will hire a third party?
We had a software that we were using before they came in, so we'll still have a software to use after them.
Okay, so Ghana Water Company does not intend to hire another company to replace SOFTtribe.
I'm saying that we will have a software to use after them.
Will Ghana Water be using any variation of the current software you are using that SOFTtribe has given you in the future?
I'm saying we are still going to bill after them because we're doing our billings long before SOFTtribe came in.
Okay, well, the question does remain unanswered, but we have to move on here. Thank you very much, Mr. Cynthia Aka, for joining us this morning. Thank you as well, Mr. David Bolton, for joining us. Cynthia Aka is Chief Commercial Manager, Ghana Water Company. David Bolton is a Technical Director for SOFTtribe.
Point that the board that I chair respects the sanctity of contracts. We respect, again, Ghanaian businesses that want to help grow the economy and want to support Ghana Water Services, Ghana Water Company to deliver on its mandate. Mr. Herman Chinwehesi and his colleagues have petitioned my office in respect of certain issues that they have challenges with. I gave them assurance that those concerns will be looked into, and they are aware that a third party they engaged to have discussions with me has been doing so, and what ought to be done is being done. Regarding issues with national security, well, I am unaware. I don't know their relationship with other companies and what national security has to do with them. But I don't want the impression to be created that Ghana Water or the board I chair kind of has something to do with anything regarding anything they are having with Ghana national security. I also heard him say that he wrote a letter and I asked them to change and do a simple thing. It's correct. I mean, I'm a lawyer. When a petition comes before me and I'm pursuing a matter, I would want to deal with the issues. And I really advise them through the third party whom I respect that, look, let them focus. Because according to them, somebody internally is trying to frustrate their contract. I told them that no, this is a contract that this board came to meet. And this board has even enhanced the terms of the contract to enable you perform. So if somebody is alleging that your software platform is not up to your proposal, it only takes an IT software specialist to audit what you have done so far and advise the board. And I give that assurance to them. So they should forget about individuals who may be threatening or maybe saying things here and there and focus on the issue.